Hello friends, I am Narendra Verma once again before you. As you know very well that we have been dealing with the chapter 4 in business studies for class 12 CBSE syllabus, that is planning. And in today's session we are going to cover steps or process of planning. Already we have covered meaning, definition, feature, importance and limitations of planning, right? So now we are going to study these steps, or we call it process of planning. So without wasting much time, let's start. So friends, these are the steps of planning. Just because the planning includes the various steps, it is also known as process. Process is something which includes various steps in a set sequence. We cannot change the sequence, right? Very first we will have to go to this step, then this, and then to the last step in the same sequence. Understood? So the very first step is setting objectives. Second step is developing premises. Third step is identifying alternative courses of action. Fourth is evaluating alternative courses of action. Fifth is selecting the best course of action. And sixth is implementation of plan. At last, follow-up action. Okay. So to remember all these 7 steps together, I have prepared a unique code so that you can remember all these steps in a set sequence, right? That is why I have left it empty. So the code is, oh dad, it's eel sleeping in the front. You find it a bit unique, as I told you, something unusual you have to take. You will have to imagine a situation. You will have to imagine there are father and son and they are moving around a sea, right? Okay, so near the seashore, what happens? The son sees something and all of a sudden he cries, oh dad, it's eel sleeping in the front, right? Eel is what? It's a kind of fish, okay? It doesn't seem to be fish if you see from far distance, but in actual it is a fish. Okay, so unusual one you can see in the picture. Okay, so now let's understand how this code is going to work here. O stands for objectives. I did not take S because if you remember this objective set you can put on your own. Okay, so I have picked O from here. O stands for objectives, D stands for developing premises, I stands for identifying alternative courses of action, E stands for evaluating alternative courses of action, S stands for selecting the best course of action, I stands for implementation of plan, and F stands for follow-up action, right? So that is how, with the help of this code, you can remember all the 7 steps together. Oh dad, it's eel sleeping in the front. Okay, now let's understand these steps one by one. So the first step is setting objectives. Now let's understand it. Already we are familiar with the term objectives, that an organization has to set objectives in terms of general or specific one. Within a time frame, they need to achieve those objectives, right? In the definition of the planning also, we learned that. What was the definition of the planning? So this was the definition of planning. If you learn this definition, you can remember all the steps of the planning as well. We can see here, the planning refers to the process of setting objectives, right? Okay, the very first step is what? Setting objectives. Okay, so in first step, what happens? An organization sets objectives for the entire organization as well as for all departments, all units, divisions, and even for individual employees, right? Objectives, targets, goals are set and are communicated to them, right? Okay, when the goals or objectives are clearly communicated and stated to the individuals or to the departments, then it becomes easier to achieve those objectives. Objectives are nothing but the end result the organization wants to achieve, right? For example, one organization may have the objective for 1 year to get growth by 10%. Okay, another can have the objective to increase market share, say for example by 5%. Okay, another organization can have the objective to increase sales, say for example 20%. Some other organization may have objective to increase profit by 15%. Or this can also be the objective of the organization for 1 year or 2 years to reduce the cost by 5%. So these are the examples of the objectives, right? So these many objectives can be there, or some other objectives can be there. Okay, different organizations set different objectives. Okay, some objectives are general and some are a specific one. Okay, and the overall objective of the entire organization is divided into small parts. Okay, and thereafter the objectives are handed over to the departments, divisions, and at last to the individual employees. Okay, and all are given some sort of set time framework, and then the entire organization combinedly starts working for the achievement of the same objectives, right? So while planning, the very first step is what? To set objectives. When the objectives are clearly stated to the employees, then there is no confusion. They can easily focus on the target. Okay, because it's something like that. If you are thinking to spend your holidays somewhere, right? So very first you need to decide the destination, that where you need to spend, right? So we have to very first decide that at what destination we are supposed to reach in a set time period. Understood? Now let's move on to another step. So the next step is developing premises. Okay, very first we need to understand the meaning of this word, premises. What is the meaning of this? Premises mean nothing but assumptions, assumption of future, right? As we have already learned when I was teaching you the features of planning, then there was one feature that planning is futuristic. Means we make planning, we do planning for future. Okay, so when we do planning for future, then we have to make certain assumptions. Okay, basing on those, we can move further, right? So these assumptions of future on which the planning can be thought or can be moved ahead are known as premises. Okay, so these premises, these assumptions need to be developed in the second step of planning. Okay, and what these premises include? These include forecast, existing plans, okay, or policies, the plan which worked in the past years. Okay, so these can be the examples of the forecast. Okay, I just give you better example so that you can understand. I just give you the current example. Right now the situation of COVID-19 pandemic is going on, right? So many countries had to do the planning to handle this problem. Okay, so they set the objectives very first, that we have to save our countrymen from this fatal disease, right? We have to save our entire country. That was the objective, okay? And thereafter the objectives were handed over to the government departments. I'm talking about the all countries, okay? And then they had one assumption, okay, which was working in some countries, and the assumption was that lockdown. If you lock the entire country for some sort of time and start tracing the all affected cases and giving them treatment with proper precautions and safety measures, then what happened? The situation can come under control, right? So thinking about exercising the lockdown is what? Developing premises. Okay. On that basis, the governments of the various countries started making plans. Then they moved further. Then they did their preparation of medical facilities and other things. Okay. But the assumption was that by lockdown we can do that. Okay. The assumption can be there, by applying lockdown for these many days we may control it. Okay, so these are the assumptions. As many assumptions you need to make, you can make. Assumption means you will have to think the complete aura within which your planning is going to work. Okay, what can happen, up to what extent it can go. So these premises become the starting point of planning. From this point the planning starts. Otherwise you do not get anything to decide. Right? I give you one more example. Say for example, I just ask you to set a target and do some planning to score good marks in the examination. Okay, fine, you have set a target that in examination I want to get 90% in all the subjects. Okay, now after that nothing is striking to your mind. You are willing to plan, but you are confused from where to start. Right? And what you did, you just contacted your seniors. Okay, you discussed with them what strategies they followed, what planning they did. Okay, then you got some idea that by studying for 5 hours continuously I can do that. By revising it in this manner I can achieve my target. Okay, or you can say by making codes of the certain points of the concept I can remember the points. By practicing 10 case studies per day, I can perform better in the exam of business studies. Right? So these can be the assumptions. On the basis of these assumptions, then you move forward. Then you start making your plan. Right? So these premises become the starting point. Okay. Now let's talk about the organization. Organization, okay, it is very much important. Because when they are going to think something, this is the thinking procedure in actual, right? Here the thinking process starts. Okay, this becomes the very first step of that. Okay, so here the people working in the organization who are involved in the planning, okay, they need to make the assumptions on the basis of the available information, plans, policies, whatever they have, okay, whatever they can foresee on the basis of that. Then all the people who are involved in the function of planning, they need to be familiar with all those assumptions so that there is a clarity about taking the planning process further and the planning may become more effective, right? So all the people involved in the planning function need to be familiar with those assumptions and that should be applied. Fine. So it was all about developing premises. Now let's move on to another step. So the next step is identifying alternative courses of action, right? So after completion of 2 steps, first step setting objectives, second step developing premises, the third step comes to finding, or we have used the term here, identifying alternative courses of action. So what is this alternative courses of action? You need to understand. See, if I ask you to complete a task, then there can be various methods to complete that task, right? Okay. Similarly, if some objectives are going to be achieved in the organization, then there can be multiple ways, options or plans to achieve those objectives, right? So the organization has to think about it, that how many possible options can be there which can be adopted by the organization. Okay, option should be there. What to do? It's not like that only one idea strikes to mind and the action should be taken. Okay, then we have to see the other options as well. Fine. So this step talks about that. As many available options are there, the organization has to find those options out, right? As many plans are there can be possible to achieve one set of target which has already been set. Okay, then the finding of those options is done. For example, one organization has objective of increasing growth. Then what are the options available? They can work on expansion. They can work on diversifying the product line. Okay, they can get into the another line. Okay, they can modernize their business. Okay, or they can apply joint venture. Fine. So these many options are there. Okay, so when the objectives are set, premises are developed, the another step comes to identifying the alternative courses of action. Now let's understand this. Why we all the time say courses of action? Why not we say only action? Alternative is there for choice, right? Okay, why we all the time say courses of action? Let's understand that. See, we are talking about here plans, various options. So these options and plans is not a single stroke activity. This is a collection of various acts. So the collection of various acts is known as course of action. And when you talk about various such courses, then the term we use here, courses of action. Understood? Like if we talk about your 12th class, then you do not have a single chapter. Okay, you have many chapters. And you do not have a single subject, you have many subjects, and then combining everything, it is known as 12th course. Understood? Okay, similarly here, course of action means it includes various acts. Okay, so identifying alternative courses of action. How many courses of actions can be possible? The identification has to be done. And how this identification is done? People who are involved in the planning process, they have to sit together, that they have to keep discussing with each other. Okay, only with the discussion, the innovative and creative various courses of actions are found out, right? Okay, when they start thinking about it. So here the planning action comes into full existence. So in this step we see the more degree of the planning function, because the people who are involved in the planning process, they have to keep on thinking, and this is not a single day activity, as we have already understood that it takes time, right? Okay, so the another step is what? As many possible options can be there to complete a task, to achieve the target, or we better say that as many plans can be there to complete the set objectives. Then all those plans, methods, options need to be identified here. Okay. Now let's move on to another step of plan. So the next step is evaluating alternative courses of action. So in the previous step, we identified as many possible courses of actions are available. Now what to do with these plans or methods or courses of actions? Because we need to select one, right? We cannot adopt various methods to complete a task. We can find out various methods, but we have to select one, the best one. But how to reach over that best one? Okay, say for example that you have 10 options. So what you need to do? You need to compare all these various courses of actions, right? Okay, the pros and cons of each alternative are examined very carefully, right? Okay, pros and cons are compared. One option is having many positive aspects. Okay, one is having many negative aspects, because every plan may have some positive aspect and some negative aspect. Okay, it's not possible that the plan which has been chosen by a company, it has no negative impact. It may have, but out of the all available options we'll have to select the one which is having least negative aspect and the most positive aspect. Understood? But to reach that level, very first we have to do the analysis. We'll have to study all those available options. We'll have to examine them properly. Okay, and after doing the proper examination, we'll have to compare that out of those available, which one can be better on the basis of feasibility, viability, okay, and cost. That is the important factor, and the consequences, what can be the consequences of adopting it, etc. So on these various bases the comparison goes on. So in this step what we do, we just evaluate all the available options that we have already got in the third step, as it is the fourth step. So in the earlier step we have identified the alternative courses of action, and this step we are evaluating all those steps whether these can work or not. Fine, because may be possible that one option is very good option but the company is small one, it cannot afford it from the cost point of view. Okay, and one more option is very much good for a particular company but it cannot adopt it. Why? Because that is not technically viable for that company. So on the ground of viability, feasibility, it has to be evaluated whether the company is in the position to adopt this particular option or not. Okay. So after doing the evaluation, then we move to the next step. And what is the next step? Let's see here. So the next step is selecting the best course of action, right? See, very first we set objectives, then we developed premises, then we identified how many possible ways or plans can be there to achieve the same objectives, and then one by one we evaluated all the possible plans. Now we need to choose the best one, because evaluation process is done only for this purpose. Okay, we cannot choose all the plans together. We need to select the one plan, and the one has to be the best one in terms of viability, feasibility, cost and consequences. All right, already we have discussed that in the evaluation process, but here the real point of decision making comes, right? This is what the step, why we call that planning is a decision making process. Okay, because here the organization, or we better say the managers working in the organization, have to choose the best course of action so that the organization can start function on the same, right? Okay, so this is not the easy step. Let me tell you something. In the evaluation process, we just compared all the pros and cons of all the alternative courses of action, right? Okay, so this process is known as the mathematical approach. Okay, so all the time the mathematical approach is not successful. Sometimes the manager's experience, personal judgment, okay, and his intuition, that also play important role, right? So in this step, that is also considered. Mathematical approach is there. According to that, one or two plans are suggested best, but the manager, on the basis of his experience, institution, knowledge, etc., has to choose the one plan on which the organization will function, right? So this steps includes that. Okay, one more thing I would like to tell you, that sometimes what happens that not only a single plan is selected but the combination of the plans are selected. Okay, say for example the organization has the target to increase production, and for increasing the production there were various ways, like whether the organization invests huge amount of money to purchase that machinery, or the organization gets that machinery on lease, right? So as per the cost point of view and other consequences, the organization selected that they are supposed to get the machinery on lease. Okay, but they just saw the other aspect of that as well, that if they put that machinery in their organization, then what will happen, the employees will be saving some time, and when they save time, then they will sit idle for the same time. So what is the another alternative for that? Okay, then one more plan was selected that if the employees are saving their time, so the same employee can be put to another activity like packing. Okay, so now two plans have been selected, one getting the machinery on lease and another putting the employees in the duration when they save the time, okay, in packing activity, right? So this can be the combination of plans, right? There can be multiple combination of plans, okay, or otherwise one big plan is selected. Okay, so in this process only this is done. Understood? Now let's move on to another step of planning. So the another step of the planning is the implementation of plan. Let me tell you, see, we have selected the best plan but we are not functioning over it, then the planning is going to benefit? Not at all. Planning is going to benefit only in the condition when the plan which has been selected is being functional as well, right? So implementation includes the same step. Let me tell you, this is the step where all other managerial functions also come into existence, like organizing, staffing, directing and controlling, right? They also come into picture. Fine, because after planning only the other functions are required. For example, in planning we decided that the machine has to be arranged. Okay, now the decision has been taken. Now in organizing, what will happen? The arrangement of the machine will be done. Okay, the contacts will be made to the owners, sellers, companies, okay, and the agreement will be made. The whole process will go on. So that process will come into organizing. Understood? So in this step, what happened? This is the step which connects to other managerial function, or we can say that this implementation means just transforming the planning into action, okay, by activating the other managerial functions. Fine. So this happens in this step and that is really important step. Okay. Now let's move on to another step. So this is the last step of planning process, follow-up action. See, implementation of plan has been made. Now the entire organization has started functioning on the selected plan. Now the monitoring of the planned activities is very much important to achieve the target, because if the activities in the organizations are not being performed as have been planned or as have been scheduled, then how the organization is going to achieve the target? Not at all. They will not be achieving their target within a specific time period, right? So that is why continuous monitoring has to be adopted, that has to be done. Okay, let me tell you, this is the step which connects to the one function of management, that is controlling. When I deal with the controlling chapter, I will explain you how it is connected. Okay, so this has to be done. See, let me tell you, if all the activities, all the steps are being taken as per the planning, then there is a surety that the organization can achieve its target. But if any of the activity is not going as per the scheduled one, then corrective measures needs to be taken. Only then the organization is going to achieve the set objectives. Otherwise, a lot of problem is going to happen and the time and money invested in the planning will also get wasted, right? So that is why the last function of the planning is follow-up action, and this is very much necessary. Okay. So this was all about the planning process. There were 7 steps and we have understood all those steps one by one. And like I told you that the definition includes all those steps. Let's read the definition. Okay, planning refers to the process of setting objectives. Step 1. Okay, for a given time period, formulating various courses of action to achieve them and then selecting. See, formulating, then the developing premises also comes here. Various courses of action to achieve them, that is what identifying various alternatives, and then selecting the best one. This is the 5th step, and with an aim to achieve the set objective most effectively. So here we just follow the 4th step, evaluation, okay, and rest related to implementation and follow up. Okay, so if you see the process of planning, it includes all the steps. Okay, if you remember the definition, you can remember 5 steps pretty well, and 2 other steps are connected, that is implementation and follow-up. Okay, now as I told you in the beginning that I give you one example. Okay, with the help of that you can understand all the steps of planning. Okay, so let's go towards that. So here is the example. Suppose there is a boy named Rahul and he decides to go Chennai from Delhi, right? Okay, so very first step of planning he has taken, setting the objective. He has set his destination that he has to reach Chennai. Understood? Okay, within a time period, maybe possible he has time of 2 days, 3 days, 1 day, whatever. Right. Now the second step will be there. He will be thinking that he is going to Chennai for some official work or his personal work, that is another matter. Now he will be developing premises, right? Now he will be thinking that when I leave from Delhi to Chennai, then how many things I'll be needing. Okay, I'll be needing clothes, I'll be needing these important materials, items, etc, etc. Okay, I'll have to arrange the things. Then he is making assumptions. Okay, he is making assumption, when will I reach there, what will I do there, how the things are going to be done in the manner, what time I should reach, what time I should leave. Okay, he is thinking about this. So at this point of time he is making some assumptions. Fine, he is making assumption as well, the weather will be fine on the date, he is deciding the date as well when he is supposed to leave. Okay, so everything he is thinking for future. Okay, as we know that planning is futuristic, he is thinking about future. Okay, so he is developing his premises, the second step. And the third step, what happened now, he has thought about all the assumptions. Now he has to identify that how many means of transportations are there so that I can reach there, and few means of transportations are striking to his mind. So let's see how many means of transportations are coming to his mind, right? So when he was thinking about reaching to his destination, then these many options came to his mind, right? Okay, so means while thinking about these options, he was exercising the third step of planning, which is identifying the various alternative courses of action. Understood? Now he has to move on to another step of the planning, which is what? Evaluation of all these alternative courses of action. Now he will evaluate. Okay, so like that, by going flight, what will be their expenses will be high. It is going to be costly. Okay, but less time, right? Okay, but he cannot carry much luggage, etc. Okay, so there can be some positive points and some negative points. Okay, train, by train he can go less costly, right? More time, can carry much luggage, etc. Some other options can be there. Okay, by bus it is going to take obviously more time, more risky, food problem, okay, luggage problem, etc. Now by bike cannot carry much luggage, right? Okay, and he may get tired as well because distance is more. Fine, maybe much costly as well. Fine, risk, more risky, very high risk is there. Okay, so when he is thinking about all these options and when he is seeing the pros and cons of all these options, means he is exercising this step of evaluation, right? Okay, now as per his pocket, as per his physical condition, as per his knowledge, as per the accessibility, okay, he has to choose the option. If his pocket allows him, he will choose the flight, right? If his physique allows him, he can decide to go by bike also. Okay, if he is not in the need to carry much luggage, then there is no problem by going by bike or by bus. Understood? Okay, so similarly the particular organization, as per their strength and weaknesses, have to decide the particular plan. Okay, so here as per his capability he has to decide. Say for example, he belongs to a very well-to-do family, okay, and he can afford costly amount. For him, safety is the most important thing. He need not carry much luggage. He wants to save his time. He opts the flight option. Okay, so when he is choosing this option, means he has taken that decision. This is the another step of planning, selecting the best alternative course of action. Understood? Now it comes to implementation. What he has to do now, he has to book the ticket of the flight, and then he has to do the preparation, he has to do his packing, etc. Okay, so that is all the implementation part. When he books the ticket and starts packing and making other things clear, okay, how many things he needs to carry, what he has to do there, okay, everything includes the implementation part, right? So the day of journey, when he is going to catch his flight, then he has to reach the airport a pretty earlier. He has to keep in the mind whether I'm forgetting anything or not, right? So that is what the follow-up. Okay, so this is the example related to our routine life. Okay, the same conditions can be there in the organization. The organizations very first set objective, and then they develop premises, and then they identify the alternative courses of action. Thereafter they evaluate all those options, and then they select the best one, and then they start implementing the particular plan, and they have to give a continuous follow-up to that particular action, right? So in that way the process of planning gets completed. Alright friends, so this was all about the process of planning. Very soon I am going to meet you in the another video in which we will be discussing about the types of plan. Till then, thank you, bye bye.